You want the real scoop on the afterlife, what patients have reported seeing, how it changed their life, what they saw, what they said when they were brought back to life? Get ready for this one because we're going to get all into it. And this is based on real, true patient stories. So this is going to be a longer video, and so get yourself a drink, get settled in, get comfortable because we're going to get into it. Now, most of the stories we're going to talk about today come out of the Saturday Evening Post. Dr. Bruce Grayson wrote a long article about this, and I'm going to summarize some of his stories. True life patient experiences that really happened. I know on my channel, I've talked about the true life stories that I've experienced. In fact, the one video went viral on my channel when I talked about when I looked into a patient's room and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But I thought, well, let's talk about some other doctors' true life experiences because they really are fascinating. And the more doctors speak up about it, the more it gives validity to all this. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Dr. Andrea O'Connor. We love to talk about interesting things. And really, I love talking about the spiritual world and what we see on the other side. And those of us in healthcare, we see some amazing things. So this first story is it's really interesting because you always wonder what would happen to that bully at school. You know, there was always that one kid that was kind of mean, hard to get along with, the school bully. Well, what if that bully grew up and became a soldier? I mean, kind of fitting, right? And so this one is about this patient. So he was a soldier and he got shot. It pierced his lung. And so, of course, you know, he's in the hospital. He's getting all the help he needs and has a near-death experience. And he reported that, now this is just a down-to-earth guy, right? He's the school bully. He's now a soldier. Like there's not a lot of fluff with this guy. He reported when he was brought back to life that he realized he was like up at the ceiling and he could see everything going on down below him. And that a brilliant white light opened up and just kind of embraced him. He said he felt like the most amount of peace that he's ever felt before, warmth, unbelievable joy. And this is coming from a bully and a soldier, like these words. It's kind of amazing. And he said when the light opened up, he found himself that it looked kind of like the Garden of Eden. And he in his life said he never said the word God or, hadn't said it for years. But now he said that this light that was encompassing him, and here he is in this place that looks like the Garden of Eden, he said that the light was God. I had to sit with that for a minute because everyone always talks about seeing the light, when you hear the stories about that. I know my patients have just told me or have said aloud that they see loved ones coming or angels in the room, but that the light itself was God. Like, just think about that because apparently nothing moves faster than light. Light is all around us. We're very much, I don't know. I just have to sit with that for a second. So anyway, he said that the love he felt from this love was like 1,000,000 times stronger than what, like a mom has to her baby. Can you imagine? Like those of us with children know that kind of love. And imagine being like, it's kind of getting like choked up. Imagine being surrounded by a light that has that much love. It's amazing, especially after this battle-worn soldier talking like this. It was just very not like his character. The interesting thing he talked about was when he recovered, he couldn't shoot his weapon anymore. He just couldn't do it anymore. He could not return to war. Like he could not do it. He left being a soldier and he worked in a completely different industry. I guess he was talking about he was working in a lab. And that one thing about his personality, he said, is he became, here's the former school bully, became really sensitive. And he said like when other people's feelings got hurt, like he could physically feel it. Isn't that amazing? I just love that that's like the full circle of a bully, experiencing that and now becoming really sensitive to other people's pain. And he even said before he used to make fun of people who would talk like this. And now this is his life. So let's go to so that's that story. I find that's amazing. True life patient stories. So this one's kind of similar. This one's another one. So this was a policeman, true life story. He almost bled out because he was trying to be saved, having surgery. And he said he had always been just like that brittle, down to earth policeman. And he said when he left the hospital after he was saved and had his NDE, near-death experience, that he was a completely different man. You know, I know when patients are in the hospital and they have surgeries or they have, really extensive treatments. Yeah, it changes you because you've kind of gone through a trauma. But this was different. This changed every aspect of his life. This is interesting because he said he no longer could watch certain programs on TV or movies that were like excessively violent or had like violent scenes in them. He couldn't do it anymore. Doesn't that sound familiar? Like, I know when I had children, I can't really watch scary movies anymore. Like, just a different piece of your heart opens up when you're responsible or have a different type of love for someone you're caring for, right? Or I guess if you haven't had children, like if you're caring for family members or pets, like you can't take certain horrific things or violence anymore. You just can't be witness to it. It's too hurtful. So that's what he talks about here. And here he was like a hard-nosed cop. He said he felt like he couldn't do his job right anymore because he felt he was, not doing his due diligence because he couldn't fire his weapon anymore. He said he had to quit being a policeman, and guess what he became? He went into education. He became a teacher. And he said it was so much more fulfilling now to help students get involved in their, personal lives, like to help them, like if they were having issues at home and whatnot. And a complete 180. It just changed his life. So now we'll go to another story. Like we're just going to go through them, just like evidence after evidence after evidence. So that's why I said, if you need to go get something to drink, now's the time. So this gal had almost drowned while she was swimming. And she said before her near-death experience, she was involved in the world of real estate, very cutthroat. She just was like, get the deal, get the bonus, get the profit, boom, boom, boom. It wasn't really about like, how can I help others or the spiritual world? It was just like that business instinct. That was what her world was about. But after she was saved, from drowning and she had her near-death experience and came back to Earth, she said she couldn't do her business anymore. She had to give it away to her family to run it. And she joined a church. She opened some housing for the elderly. And she said she's never felt more fulfilled in her life. She said after her near-death experience, she had more compassion, and she kind of had that feeling for justice when if someone was wronged or someone had some anger or hatred, like she felt like she couldn't deal with that. Like she had to try to fix it, where before, like she wasn't interested in that. It was just all about the deal. Isn't that amazing? I think like the tone here or the common thread is people like wanting to help others and having empathy. I find that people will either go into education or, working with the church and charities or going into healthcare, not to say that everyone that goes into those fields is going into it for those reasons, but people that have had an NDE tend to leave the materialistic goals behind and then get into something completely altruistic. I love that. So here's another interesting one. This one's kind of great. So this one, he was a trucker. He was involved in a terrible accident. Like the accident just literally crushed his body. And he said, in the past, he loved really expensive, luxurious, fast cars. He loved the higher life, like fine restaurants and, just like the better life. And then he said, during his accident, he was having emotional thoughts and good and bad. And then his wife talked about his experience and said what he was before. He was extremely angry, violent, would shout all the time, this trucker. He was the head of the family and we were all scared of him. Like he said something, we would jump. Like, how high do you need us to jump? Like, just really one of those intimidating people to be around. She said, but after his near-death experience, again, what am I going to say? Complete 180. He became compassionate and gentle and kind. She said he hasn't flown off the handle, hasn't yelled, hasn't shouted. Like he's a completely different person. It's like she married a completely different person after he was rescued from that terrible truck accident. She said he'll now just help a stranger just right off the street. Isn't that amazing? So it's not that people turn into saints after an NDE, but what they're interested in, their goals completely change. That is the common thread. Some experiencers, they have difficulty with deciding, what did they just witness with that light? If they weren't spiritual or religious before, like they're trying to wrap their head around, what did I experience? Like, is that God? Like, what is that? That scientist, that doctor, actually, I think he was a neuroscientist. He wrote a book about his experience. Like he was just never into God or the spiritual world. And when he went to the other side and saw heaven and all those green pastures and people running around and playing and, the angel that was showing him around everything completely changed his life. And that's all he talks about now. And amazing. It can turn someone who was just an angry, bitter person into this person full of light and love. Don't you love that? I think that's an amazing story. Okay, so here's another one. We're just going one after the other. So this gal was a teacher and she became extremely ill. Had excruciating pain on her side, vomiting and whatnot. Well, it turned out to be, her appendix was infected. And, this day and age, that is something that we can get on and save right away, but people can still die from an appendicitis. So it's still very lethal if you ignore severe abdominal pain. And so, she had a fever, she felt awful. And this afterlife experience it's a little, I don't know, it's things I worry about for people. So listen to this. So she has to undergo surgery. And then when she came back, she described the other side. And this is what she said. She said, all of a sudden, she was just out and she felt her soul being like transported. And she said everywhere around her was just blackness everywhere. As far as you can see, it was just blackness. And it's kind of like being rocketed into space. Like she felt like she was out there, like she was in space. And it was just blackness everywhere. And she was looking down at what looked kind of like a blue marble. And she kind of had this instinct that was Earth. And she said it was so far away. It was like one of those, those super balls that you bounce. Like that little blue marble thing was like as small as like a super ball. And she just heard these messages around her in this vast blackness saying, it's okay. It's okay. It's your time. It's okay. And so all of a sudden, in all this blackness, she felt incredible, like, I'm free. And like peace came over her. And so she said she wasn't as worried about, okay, now she knows she's literally dying or she's dead, but she couldn't get over this incredible feeling of love and peace. And she said that she, at the same time, could see the room that her body was in. People have talked about that. They're seeing two things at once. Like she's in this infinite blackness, but can kind of still see the earth, but is hearing messages of love around her. But she can also see her body still back having surgery in the hospital room. And she sees two spirits in there that are waiting in the room for her. And she sees they're just watching and waiting, just waiting. Like probably just waiting to take her to the other side, right? And so then she's like, sees them gradually fade away. And she was brought back. The surgery was done. They saved her life, like brought back right into her body. She's not in outer vast space anymore. And she said, what has stayed with her is that unimaginable sense of peace that she had when she was up in space looking at Earth below. Like that sense of peace stayed with her. And she said she never felt a peace like that before, and it's still with her. What a gift, right? The only thing, this is what's interesting with all these near-death experience stories, is everyone has such a different experience. Some people, they see the pinpoint of light that opens up like a tunnel, and they're just being kind of pulled into that light. Other people are, boom, instantly, like in the light, and in this Garden of Eden area. Other people do report this, like that Dr. Eben Alexander, that book I talked about in his book. He talks about how initially he's in all this blackness until he sees the pinpoint of light. Well, and then in her story, she's in all this blackness and then kind of gets a sense of peace and love and hears voices telling her it's okay. But, when it's my time, I hope I see light immediately. I don't know. I don't really want to be in blackness all of a sudden. I don't know. What do you think about that? Comment below, if you've had an attitude or a belief about any of this. But there's just been so many stories from doctors, story after story, talking about this. So now we're going to hear a little bit of a different experience of an NDE, maybe one from instead of seeing light and love, what else can happen? So this one actually happened to a teenager. It was just one of those accidents. I guess he was working and there was a power line and he was electrocuted. And he said when he died and while his soul was just pulled out of his body, that he had two types of visions. He had these heavenly visions, but he had hellish visions as well. He said that everything changed after that. Imagine that, and I'll get into what he saw. Imagine seeing the bright white light and that people are reporting, is that God? Is that love? It's the best love they've ever seen. And then you have a hellish experience where you literally feel like these stories talk about. It felt like some people were describing they felt like wet and heavy and being pulled down into a wet, almost like a dark puddle that opened up and being pulled down into darkness and being pulled away from peace, light, and love, being pulled into that darkness. This teenager said, even though, and again, I don't think it matters what religion. He does say that he did call out to God, Christ, and that he was pulled out of that darkness. But his life was saved, so he made it back here. But he's another one. His life did a 180, completely changed. He said that before he was really into his friends, his social life, sports, playing football. But when he came back to life and after his NDE, he became very goal-oriented. What am I going to do with my life? I need to start working on my life goals and not worry so much about going out and partying and, and all that. And his family said his drive and, how he was around friends and family, he became much more focused. And so that's just a different way of how someone's life could change after something like that. I just love those. Those are just some, and we'll go through more of them, but those are just some of the true patient life medical stories. Again, the full detailed story I said is by an MD, a medical doctor. Dr. Grayson talks about those in length. I paraphrased and kind of changed the wording because I don't want to take away from Dr. Grayson's work that he did on this. But you can find that in the Saturday Evening Post. And I myself, in my 10 years of hospice, have seen some amazing things. I have lots of videos where I talk about that. But I thought it's time to talk about other true life experiences that doctors, they themselves, have witnessed and talked about. Hope you enjoyed that. Comment below or give a like if you like this type of content. and we'll keep talking about more true life stories.